And we'll move down to approval of agenda. Item 2.1, changes to agenda and approval of the agenda. And we do have one change, consent agenda added. Item 8.19, appropriation of District 5 School Board member capital outlay funds to Niceville High School for band instruments in the amount of $24,782. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Excuse me. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Manchak, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. So now we'll move to recognitions, always a great part of our meeting. So we'll start with 3.1, recognition of Lexi Lucas, Baker School 2021, Florida High School Athletic Association Division 1A Girls State Champion in the 119 weightlifting class. Mr. Chambers?
Thank you, Mr. Bryant and School Board. As you know, the last school board meeting we had, we called it the Baker Show. We had a number of recognitions, a number of state championships to include coaching awards as well. And tonight it continues on, and we're here to honor Lexi Lucas as the state champion for weightlifting. Now, some interesting information here. So Lexi competed in the 1A Girls Weightlifting State Championship in the 119-pound weight class. Now, the interesting part for me is the amount of weight that she lifted. Now, 145 pounds on the bench press and 140 pounds on the clean, and for a total of 285 pounds. And you think about someone who's in the 119 weight class lifting well over double their weight, that is absolutely incredible. I'm not sure right now I could hit these feats right now. So the fact that you did that, Lexi, if you'd start coming forward, Lexi, the fact that you have done that is absolutely remarkable. You've not only represented Baker extremely well, which I know Mr. Martello is extremely proud. Your coaches are proud. Coach Oglesby, very proud. Your family's here. But you've also made all of Okaloosa County proud. And you have a board member who I'm sure might want to say something in a few moments who gets very excited about Baker. But before you do, if Mr. Martello, Coach Oglesby, if you'd come forward as well. And each of you might want to share a few words about Lexi before Lexi gives her 5-minute speech to the board.
It's just a pleasure to coach Lexi. She's actually made it to state 3 years running. She's been lifting weights with me since her 8th grade year. So I've had her since 8th grade. She's a junior this year. So I think those years prepared her for the big stage. And when she got there this year, there was no doubt she was going in. She went in as a leader, and she won by 15 pounds over everybody else. So she did an outstanding job. She's an outstanding worker. She is the epitome of a Baker student athlete, and what I mean by that is, and I just kind of give you a description of her last lift, is a clean and jerk. And she cleaned it, and then when she jerked it, you have to get stable. She fought that for, it seemed like an eternity. 30 seconds where the judge wanted to tell her to put it down, but she was looking him in the eye, and I was yelling, she can do it, and then she locked it out. And it was just, when you watch that, the whole crowd went crazy. So the pride that, of course, Baker has, and of course I have for my athletes, it was just swelled up inside of me. And I just remember her hitting her knees at the end, and you could just see how much she was. And we went and picked her up, and it was a great moment for Baker weightlifting. She also led Baker to the best finish we've ever had in the years. We were district champions. She led us to second in the region and 4th in the whole entire state of Florida. So she did an outstanding job for Baker, and she's got another year. So we look for some great things coming again next year. So very proud to have her as a coach. No one outworks her. So great job.
Awesome.
Thank you, Coach.
So on top of the outstanding athlete that Lexi is,
what I see in Lexi, just walking down the hallways, is that smile that you always see. So it's kind of a 180 degrees when you think of the veracity that she attacks the weights, or she plays a mean third base in softball as well. So, but seeing that smile is what I appreciate about her as well too. So all the hard work and everything that she put into getting to this point over several years from the rest of the school. Thank you so much for representing us so well.
All right. We'll let you slide on the 5-minute speech. And Mrs. Manchak, if you want to come with me.
First time you ever done
Family, do you want to come with us? You get a picture?
Did it, girl.
Come on up.
I'll get him. And Lexi, one of the reasons I wore pink tonight instead of the maroon, the garnet, is you did it for the ladies. And I am so proud of you. State champion, female weightlifting. And I mean, look at her. She does, you don't think weightlifter, but I'm very proud of you. And thank you so much. Can we get, here's your. Oh, Dad's getting one? Okay. Thank you. So proud of you. Thank you.
All right, congratulations again, Lexi, and thank you for making Okaloosa proud. So now we will turn over to section 3.2, and now we'll begin the Niceville High School part of recognitions. So 3.2, recognition of Trey Wainwright, Niceville High School, named 2020 Florida Mr. Football by the Dairy Farmers Incorporated and the Florida Athletic Coaches Association. Mr. Chambers?
Thank you, Mr. Bryant and Board. This is just another outstanding accomplishment when you think about Okaloosa County. We talk about how well we do academically, athletically, and extracurricularly. And up here in the Panhandle, I think we are proud to say that we have some pretty amazing athletes. And the fact that you can have a Mr. Football for the state of Florida right here in Okaloosa County, I think it's a huge testament to our athletes, to our coaches, to our programs, and to the schools that we have here. And you think about Mr. Football, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was Mr. Football in the state of Florida. So just a couple things about Mr. Wainwright. I will say I had the fortune to watch this young man play. Just an amazing quarterback, an amazing athlete. The accuracy at which he throws the football, those passes are pretty remarkable. And actually 72% of his passes, that's pretty remarkable. Again, and a fantastic team. Now, interestingly, he also received another recognition as well, where the governor of the state of Florida came and surprised us all to personally congratulate Trey, which I can't think many students across the state of Florida or athletes across the state of Florida could say that they achieved that honor. So that's pretty special. But Trey Wainwright is Florida Mr. Football of the Year for the 2020 year. And again, that is something that he will never forget. His family will never forget. And I know Niceville High School and Principal Morello will never forget. So Trey, if you would come forward, and Mr. Morello, if you would come forward. And before you give your 5-minute speech, Trey, we're going to have your principal say a few words.
just to solidify what that Mr. Football means, there's a class 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, all the way through 8A Player of the Year, and that's not what this was. This was an award that encompassed every football player in the state of Florida this year. Tens of thousands of kids who suited up, and the dairy farmers named Trey Mr. Football. That's how exclusive that award is. But the backstory on Trey, I think, is pretty well known, but after tonight I'll share it really quick. He went from a 10th grade JV quarterback, ball boy on Friday night, to third string his junior year, to in a competition going into his senior year to see if he was going to be the starter. But there was never a doubt in his mind that he was going to win that position. And he played, and he was amazing, and he broke every school record. But he has committed to play at Furman next year. You know that phrase, you think you know, but you have no idea? Furman has seen tape. They've talked to him. They've talked to our coaches. So they think they know what kind of football player and what kind of kid they're getting. They have no idea the quality character and human being that's about to enter their football program. It's going to be a game changer for them as a program. So I'm proud of Trey ever since I knew him as a little red-headed freckle boy in the 5th grade at Destin Middle School. And I've coached him up well. I've grown him up right. So congratulations, Trey.
I would just like to thank all of you guys for all you guys do for the school, and what you guys did this year letting us play was really big, and I just want to thank all y'all for that, and thank you.
Okay, so Trey, I got a question for you real quick. You're going to Furman, right?
Yes, sir.
What's a paladin?
Paladin is like a knight.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Good job.
All right.
I thought so. No, it's okay. It's. Elementary. Nice.
We need an official one here, Craig. This one goes to the New York Times.
Did you want to put your mask on or not? No, you just stuck it in, there you go. Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't know if you wanted to be holding it, so, okay, here we go. Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Will everybody get seated? All right. So now we'll move to section. Oh, hold on first. Hold on.
Give her the certificate.
And Miss Perry comes to the rescue. Thank you. All right, so now we'll move to section 3.3, and we are recognizing the Niceville High School varsity cheerleaders as the 2020 through 2021 Florida High School competitive cheerleading state champions in Class 1A large all-girl varsity division. Mr. Chambers?
Thank you, Mr. Bryant, School Board. Again, another amazing honor. And I do want to say the Niceville High School cheerleaders, an amazing group of athletes, and specifically use the word athletes. And I know that these ladies work extremely hard. What they do when people have no idea that they're watching, whether it be in the summer, when I'm driving to work and I see you all working out there on the football field, or what you're doing before or after practice just on your own. And the fact that this team not only won a state championship one year, but they've won it back-to-back years. And that's extremely difficult. The percent of athletes that will win one state championship is minute. The percent that's going to win two is almost unheard of. So that's something that I know that you're absolutely proud of. And you've represented Niceville High School extremely well. You've represented your coach extremely well, and you've represented all of Okaloosa County extremely well, and we're very proud of you. And I know that there are other young ladies who are not here with us tonight that we wish that we could have all of them here with us tonight, but the seniors are here, and we know that you're representing your team very well, but the those who are not here, they are just as honored, and we absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. So before we have the young ladies come forward, Coach Herndon, if you'd come forward, and Principal Morello, if you'd come forward.
Like Mr. Chambers said about being the repeat state champion, when you talk about back-to-back state champions and the fact that we have these great seniors and we have a ton of underclassmen, we've got a feeder program in all of the middle schools that feed us with great programs. You're talking about stuff like legacy, like dynasty that's becoming in competitive cheer squad at Niceville High School. The talk, I think, is becoming very quickly that the road to the 1A state championship in competitive cheer goes through Niceville. And if you knew what this program was like 4 years ago, before we were able to bring Coach Herndon on board, to see the 180-degree turnaround and commitment to excellence that they have now, it's just incredible the work that she has done. And a little bit about the girls back there. Like Mr. Chambers said, outstanding athletes, and a point that I want to make about them as students. Well, before I talk about their students, what I love about those girls, you know what those girls are? They're really, really nice. And I love people who are just nice. I talk to those kids all the time. I had a 5-minute conversation with Ellie about going to Tennessee next year and go Big Orange. And they're just nice, really good kids, and I'm going to miss them to death. I did a little figuring today when I got the seniors' names. The cumulative grade point average of those kids back there is a 4.27, led by the overachieving Emma Schroeder with the 4.5. We love her, but she's a classic overachiever. But just give you a glimpse of what well-rounded, great kids those are and families. I'm gonna miss the heck out of you seniors. We've had a lot of fun together. Coach Herndon?
Oh, well, I did not prepare a speech, but just these kids, for starters, this is my 4th season, so these were my freshmen. And I, kind of untraditional, don't have a captain, so I put it all on the seniors. And they're kind of, obviously, as the coach, I take charge of that, but they really do drive the heartbeat of the team and just the work ethic and the example. And they've done a really, really incredible job, especially in just an unprecedented year. You know, we have a program of 40 and we practiced in groups of 8 for most of the summer, and a big part of our sport is stunting, which we weren't able to do till the fall, and they've really pulled it off this year. So they've really, really been awesome. I'm really sad to lose them, but super proud of them and can't wait to see where they all go. And just thank you guys too for allowing us to travel and do all of the things that we need to do for this sport. So it's been a really great season.
All right, thank you. And before we have them come up, just want to honor those who are not here. And so I'm going to mention their names. Hopefully I pronounce all these correctly, and if I do pronounce it incorrectly, please correct me. Sure. All right. So we have Hannah Blanton, Simone Williams, Skylar Sansom, Nikki Davis, Josie Dickerson, Kaya, Flora. All right, I'm nervous about that one. Landry Fell, Holland Kate Henderson, Megan Charlton, Harley Soltuska, London Williams, Elena Drab, Brianna Horn, Destin Neely, and Brooke Zemak. All right, let's give them a round of applause. And Dr. Kelly, if you would join me, please.
Addie Grandy.
Oh, sorry. Ellie O'Loughlin. Elizabeth Renman. Rachel Wandrick. Reagan Howell. Emma Schroeder. And Maddie Roberts. Might have to make a couple rows. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This is also a plaque as well, so we'll let y'all hold that one.
Yeah.
Take your left hand, put it up.
There you go. All right. Are we good with the depth here?
You see, I may have to make 2 rows.
Congratulations again. We'll just give them a minute to exit the building before we'll move on. All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on down the agenda. And we'll move past Section 4. We have no visitors. Section 5, administrative personnel appointments, we have none. And we are at Section 6, public comment. 6.1, members of the public desiring to address the school board, Form MIS 5241, public input and/or discussion of agenda items. And we do have one blue card. And if Mrs. Amaya Talley is in the room, if you would please come forward. And as you're coming forward, are you wishing to speak on anything on the agenda?
No, sir, not this time.
Okay, so Mr. McInnes, our school board attorney, is going to explain to you the rules.
Yes, sir. You'll have 4 minutes to make your presentation, and I'll give you a 15-second warning before it's over.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, school board. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Amaya Talley, and I'm the parent of a middle school student at Brunner Middle School in Okaloosa County. And like many of us parents, we notice that there's a lot of changes, that together as a team we're trying to figure out with COVID-19, with academics, and just together as a family. Some of the biggest concerns that I have as a parent is what are we doing as a team together between the district, the school administration and staff, and as a parents, I feel that it's a dual effort, a tripod between all of us together as parents to make sure that our children are successful. Currently, about 1.2 million students every year are high school dropouts. That's 26 children a second, 7,000 a day, which blows my mind. And that was before COVID-19 hit. So I'm hoping that together we can fix that for next year. We're currently seeing a huge trend, not just in middle school, but elementary and high school students. We're seeing a 30% increase in the grades of D's and F's. We're seeing failing grades, rising depression, suicide rates increasing. The biggest issue I have is I would like to file an official complaint against the Brunner Middle School administration and staff. Since November of 2020, my daughter has received failing grades. I've reached out, emails, phone calls, requested appointments from guidance counselors, teachers, assistant principals, all staff members. I only received replies back from 2 teachers who were engaged. All of our staff in our schools, elementary, middle school, and high school, they are overworked, they are overtasked. And the sad truth is that some of them are giving up on our students. And that's not okay. It's not okay for me. It's not okay for you. It's not okay for our students. We need to do better as a team. We can't leave these children behind. We can't just let them go on to the next grade and fail and become a dropout. That's not okay. As of last year, March 2020, my daughter was sexually harassed by a student at Brunner Middle School.
Okay, real quick on those type of allegations.
I filed an official complaint
Okay.
with the police, the sheriff's department, and the military police because I'm active duty military.
Okay.
I never got anything back from the school. I never got anything back from the sheriff's county, but I did get through my chain of command with active duty military. I am ashamed for my daughter to be enrolled in that school, I'm ashamed that our teachers are so overworked that they're quitting our students. And I'm ashamed as a parent that I don't have anyone helping me. We need to do better. I expect us to do better. These children deserve more, and we should all be ashamed. Thank you very much. And I'll be available after the meeting to file my official complaint.
Okay. Thank you.
And Ms. Liborn, if you would step out and just have a conversation there.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. All right, so we'll move on down to Section 7, and that was workshop only. And now we are to Section 8, consent agenda. 8.1, approval of the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve, please.
Also move.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Manchak. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Manchak, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. So now we'll move all the way down to Section 9. The first two are for information only. 9.3, out-of-field report for the 2020 through 2021 school year. I need a motion to approve, please.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Vanchek. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Vanchek, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. 9.4, employment separations. I need a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Vanchek, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. 9.5, personnel recommendations. I need a motion to approve.
I'll move it. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Ms. Vanchek, I got you. Dr. Kelly, I'll have the second. Any discussion? Hear none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Vanchek, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. 9.6, employee transfers. I need a motion to approve.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Vanchek, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. 9.7, reinstatement reimbursement of sick leave due to line of duty illness, injury, medical examination. I need a motion to approve, please.
Move it.
A motion by Dr. White. Second, please.
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Vanchek, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. 9.8, leave without pay. I need a motion to approve.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Vanchek. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Vanchek, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. Nothing was moved from the consent for discussion, so we are now at Section 11, construction program owners, business representatives business. And Dr. Kelly, we'll start with you, ma'am.
Okay, so just a quick reminder that the next meeting of the Citizens Oversight Committee is tomorrow evening at 4 here. And we'll have our next meeting the first Monday in April, and after that I'll be able to give a full report. We've already given March's report, and we meet monthly. So thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kelly. So now we'll move to item 11.2, program number 6, task order number 11, GMP district-wide sales tax roofing projects. I need a motion to approve, please.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second, Ms.
Second.
Gardner. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Vanchek, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. 12 Section 12, Information Technology Seat Management Contract, and Section 12.1, or CACI Task Order Number 2-187 for Edwards Elementary School locking hardware. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Gardner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Manchak, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. White, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion carries 5-0. And now we are moving down to 13, Attorney's Business. Mr. McInnes.
No report this evening.
Okay, thank you, sir. And now we'll move to Superintendent's Business. Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant and the board. Just a couple items. So one, just want to remind the board that the best standards, the new standards that will take over for our current standards that we're going through the process right now, the best standards will be for both ELA and for math. Next school year will be K through 2 implementation, and then the timeline will follow after that. So the best standards is a big deal, and it's a big deal in terms of new standards that will be in place, the emphasis on civics, which will be encompassed in more than just social studies, but also ELA as well. And then, of course, there'll be a shift in the standards on the mathematics side as well. And when I say big deal, it's because it's also the professional development that's going to have to go along with this. As you remember, 6 to 8 years ago when we transitioned to the current standards, a lot went into that. Many different years of implementation. And Ms. Lightbourne and her staff are already preparing that. We have a number of members who have already been trained on the best standards, and the state of Florida is doing a train the trainer model. So we'll be prepared for that. But I do want to emphasize, and I've asked Ms. Lightbourne also, that we will be preparing just a little information on the civics side of things. I get a lot of questions about, why do we not teach civics in school? And I share with them, we do. But of course, if you're not necessarily ingrained in the school system, you don't necessarily know. But we all know 7th grade is a dedicated course with an assessment. As we go to these new standards, it'll be embedded in ELA as well, and there'll be a civics emphasis at the high school level in addition. So I've asked Ms. Lightbourne to prepare just a kind of a one-sheeter on the impact of civics, especially with these new standards. So that will come. Additionally, we're also in the ELA textbook adoption process, which each year these textbooks continue to get more and more expensive. Some of you may remember a time when textbooks cost about $85 a book. Now it's about $185 a book, and the allocation that we receive is in essence kind of constant in terms of even with the addition in the cost. So we'll be going through that process, and then it's math, and then I believe it's science and social studies after that, but they're back to back to back to back, which is a challenge. But we will definitely do that. I do want to let you know that the curriculum department is still meeting with schools in terms of progress towards the FSA. And all of us understand that we're in a little bit of a different reality this year with the pandemic. But as we currently stand, there will be an FSA. Now, what that impact will be, we've all, you all as well as myself, have advocated that this test be more diagnostic in nature and not be punitive. So we'll see the final outcome of that, but there will be a test. So we do have our curriculum department meeting with each of the schools, going over their iReady data, which gives us some information, and then we make adjustments accordingly. And then lastly, I do want to let the board know, because this could definitely be information that could come to you, is our MSO students and testing. And it's a mandate that the students test. Now, whether the families have them go test is another story, but it's a mandate that they test, so we have to have that in place. Ms. Lightbourne has led with our schools. There will be a plan in place for MSO students. Each school will have to us by March 31st what their MSO testing plan will be. We want to make sure that those MSO students test in an environment that they feel comfortable with. So each school is doing that. Lastly, just want to let you know that the employee newsletter and the parent newsletter went out today, so hopefully you'll get an opportunity, if you haven't done so already, to look at that. And then also within that newsletter, the parent survey went out, and it'll also go out in a different format that Mr. Horton will be getting out to families. So just a little bit of information from the curriculum side and just information going out to families.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers.
Can I ask a question about something?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
On the best standards for ELA and math, well, obviously that means the assessment will change too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So have we started to get any info on what that assessment will look like?
So the state of Florida is going through that process, and for the public, if they may remember the last time, there was a period where the new standards were implemented, and then there was a test, and the test was a hold harmless test. We'll have to see whether or not that occurs again, but they are going through the process of creating a test that will meet these standards, but truly how that is going to be implemented will be forthcoming.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Manchak. Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Okay, so we'll move down to board members' announcements and requests for information, and tonight I will start with Ms. Gardner.
I just want to mention to Mr. Chambers that yesterday, March 21st, you put out a video, a post, and it dealt with World Down Syndrome Day. And I just want to say thank you. Often these special awareness days, they go unnoticed, and I think that they're important because it does bring attention to this need and also to the need of these innovative programs. April 2nd, we know, is Autism Day, World Autism Day. But some facts that I went back and started looking at, and I follow closely because this, as you know, this is very near and dear to me. 1 in 800 births, we have children with Down syndromes. Autism's 1 in 59. And I thought it was staggering to know that 1 in 6 children are born with some type of a developmental disability. It's why early intervention is critical. I know that there's some bills going through the Senate right now with students with disabilities and early intervention. Sorry, can't talk here. But I think it's rewarding to know, and it's encouraging to know that for our parents and our teachers and our community, just that you recognize that. And your motto is everyone's important or no one's important. And it's not just a political comment that you've made. You say it, you stand behind it, and you take action on it. And I do truly appreciate that. And I know these individuals, again, parents especially, and our teachers in our community, everyone is important. And just thank you for bringing that to light. Again, I think that's important. And no matter what Tallahassee recognizes or doesn't recognize, I know that in our district we will do the right thing for all of our children. So thank you for posting that yesterday and making awareness of that. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Manchak?
Yes, okay, thank you. Well, we are actually at the end of the third 9 weeks. Ends this Friday. And next Monday will be a teacher workday, facing the last 9 weeks this year is big difference than last year. So much more positive. So I'll just remind everyone that we are going into that last 9 weeks. And, that's so critical for students hitting that last 9 weeks. So I do have a request, please, Mr. Chambers. In September, Mr. Frakes with our risk management came to us and presented the benefits, I think I'm saying that, oversight committee report, which basically covers our insurance. And I was pretty vocal and candid about my disappointment in what we are having to charge our employees for those benefits, particularly the medical insurance. And I believe I'm accurate in that the last 3 years that I've been on this board, the increase has been in double digits every year. This year coming in was 12%. And so Mr. Frakes did an excellent job of explaining the factors that went into how that's set and everything. And there are things on the side of the employee that could be improved, and then of course negotiating with our contracted provider. So what I would like to know, if you'd be willing to allow Mr. Frakes to come in front of the board again with an interim report, a status of how we're doing with that, so that we're not back in the fall to a point where we hear it, then we have to vote and accept it. Because if not, we don't have our employees insured. So if you don't mind requesting that, I would appreciate having him come in and saying, what have we done? What have we been able to cover, especially in the age of COVID, to maybe help mitigate those? Because one board member I know, I'll be very disappointed if it comes back again and we're at 12% again for our employees going into the next school year. So could that happen, please, sir?
Absolutely. We will have him here. And one thing I would share with the board is as recently as last week, Mr. Frakes, he presented to me, which I was very appreciative of, a plan that will be put in place, especially as we go into this next school year. There's many trainings that FISBIT offers us or even helps us create. And we will be looking at a number of different trainings for teachers, for administrators, for paraprofessionals, and it's about awareness. And if we have awareness, even more so, some of our claims can go down. So we will have a very specific training plan going forward. But Mr. Frakes can definitely talk a little bit more competently than I might talk right now as it pertains to insurance, but we'll definitely have him here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And may I add to that also, if Mr. Frakes would mention, or he may already be doing this, but about a few weeks ago, I received a notice that, and I completely forgot, the incentives, I think it's up to $200 that if you go in and do certain things within your insurance and put in your weight and height and all this, that there is some incentives, I think up to $200, that we often forget about. So he may mention those again, or, and he may be notifying the teachers, but $200 is a nice amount of money.
Absolutely.
And I understand those concerns because they're valid and they're real. And Mr. Chairman, I have a question, and
Yes, sir.
Superintendent, I'm wondering if either yourself or Ms. Scallon might speak to this briefly. Do we still cover 100% of our employees' insurance, health insurance?
Single.
We do cover
coverage.
100% of our employees' insurance.
Single coverage.
I understand single coverage, but those are our employees.
Yes.
If we have both that are our employees, then we cover both. Is that correct? For example, a husband and wife.
Yes, sir. If it's two single employees married, then yes, we cover both of them. If it's two employees with a family, then they get a family benefit and a single benefit. And then there's a portion that they have to pay, but it's because of the cost of the insurance for
Right.
family.
And so to be clear, make sure I understand correctly, the increases that Ms. Manchak pointed out, those have been costs that have been passed on to the school district. Is that right?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
I want to add one thing, Ms. Scallon, if you could help me. And I think it's a good point to bring up, Ms. Vanchek, because anything that we can do to get those costs down, I think are important.
Sure.
But where we might end up at 12%, where did we start?
Oh, most of the time when the renewal comes in, it is higher than what we actually end up with. I mean, I think last year we started out about 16%, so then Russ does negotiate with the carriers to get it down as far as he can get it down. Of course, the other thing that you always have to prepare for is you don't want to have a false reduction, because let's say that you get it down to 10% when really it was 12%, then the next year you're going to bear the burden of the 2% that was not assessed plus whatever the next year's experience increase is.
Rising cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, it's just an expensive thing, and I'm not criticizing on our side, I just would like to hear that report of how's it going as we're leading to the next year, if we
Absolutely.
can do that.
Well,
Thank you.
there's no question that significantly impacts the district budget. I mean, those
Yes.
increases,
And we're about
frankly,
to look at budgets, so,
sort of like gasoline prices these days.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Thank you. Did you have anything else
I'm
to
good,
add,
thank
Dr. Hale?
Dr. Hale's going
Oh.
to add on.
So I would just Good evening. I would just like to kind of tie what Ms. Gardner said and what Mr. Chambers said and give a little bit of just a window into what's been going on with the Benefits Oversight Group. One thing that we know is that our insurance is based on claims, and high claims are going to yield high premiums the next year, and that's just something that we're working on. And so to Ms. Gardner's point, the Rally program, which is part of United Healthcare, those $200 worth of incentives, those types of things, the more we increase those participations, we would like to think that that would impact our premiums the next year. To Mr. Chambers' point, these increased trainings that we are planning on doing, tied specifically to FSBIT and Safe Schools, should show a correlation to reduced premiums as well. So I just wanted to point those things out. But the other thing that I wanted to say is that when Mr. Frakes comes next month to give a report, he's going to give a pretty solid report on the rigorous meeting schedule that the BOG's been going through as we try to learn different things, and we've been having some pretty intense conversations, not only about the different types of coverage, but our brokerage services and things along those lines, just to ensure that we're doing the best that we can possibly do for our employees. Because, Ms. Manchak, to your point, double-digit increases are hard to bear. Any increase is more than the previous year, and so reality is what it is. The claims continue to go up, premiums continue to go up, but we're working as hard as we can. And I've got two other members here, Mr. Strong and Ms. Appleberger here. They're both on the BOG as well, and they'll testify to the fact that we've been meeting more this year than ever before to do just exactly what you want, is what we all want, is to do do right by our employees and try to keep those costs as low as possible. Our employees have a responsibility as well with the reduced claims portion, but maybe the Rally fitness points and the trainings will have a good impact on that. But as I said, Mr. Frakes will come back with a very specific report on what we have been doing and where we're going from here.
And might I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And so, Dr. Hale, might you also be able to report to us, you might be able tonight or perhaps another meeting soon that the superintendent concurs, what % of school districts in Florida still pay 100% of their employees' health insurance? At one time, I thought that if we weren't the only one, then we were certainly very much so in the minority.
Right, and I can't speak to a specific percentage of the counties in the state of Florida, but I can tell you that some of the districts that I've spoken to do have employee contributions as part of their plan as well. So I don't know the exact percentage.
But at this time, we don't require any employee contributions.
Only if they buy up.
When you say
The-
buy up,
the
you mean
family coverage
include non-employees.
Correct.
I understand.
But we'll look into getting that
be interesting.
percentage.
And just a curiosity question, is there any consideration for one of those rally points to be vaccinations?
So I haven't actually looked at it this year as it just rolled over in January, because I used all my points last year. I'm going to try to use all my points this year. It was not a part of it last year. I mean, I don't believe that it is a part of that this year. It has to do with finding gym memberships or searching for a particular
I've been involved in
procedure.
that. I'm just thinking that would be a good incentive for employees to be vaccinated.
I agree.
Good idea.
I agree.
Good idea.
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank you.
Ms. Appleberg is making her way up, so.
I just wanted to clarify a little bit about the buy-up plan. Me personally, I am on the buy-up plan as a single employee, and I do.
Would you explain what that is, buy-up plan?
So basically, for the buy-up plan is I have a higher deductible, and then once I hit that deductible, then everything, I don't have a copay anymore when it comes to those things. So I do have that buy-up plan. I am a single employee, so I do pay more. I pay for that extra buy-up on top of having my higher deductible. So it's not just for employees plus spouse or employees plus family, but something I kind of wanted to bring to light that I know Ms. Vanchek kind of talks about a lot, and I know where we've spoken before, is that if you start talking about taking, let's say, making it to where employees would have to pay for their base plan. So basically you pay for the base plan is what the district pays for. Anything above that, the employee pays for the difference. If you start doing that, then we desperately will have to start looking at the way that our employees are paid, because they can't afford it. They can't, a lot of our employees can't even afford to have family on their plan because it does come up so much. So that is a huge burden that would come along on employees if you were to try to raise that, or if you were to try to say that the district didn't want to pay or we had to pay a piece of it. I know that I wouldn't be able to pay for it myself, and I'm on year 9, and the way that our new system sets up, thanks to our governor, I make the same exact amount as years 1 through 9. So I make the same amount as a new teacher. So speaking as somebody that is on that lower end of the pay scale, the lowest end of the pay scale for teachers, I know I wouldn't be able to afford that. So that's something to kind of bring to light. BOG has been looking into things. It's interesting, the timing of this actually is because we do have a meeting, is it this Friday? We have a meeting this Friday to kind of discuss some of the things that we've learned and see where we all feel and things like that. So I am glad that you kind of brought this up. Hopefully, Mr. Frakes will be able to bring more based off of our conversations, because we haven't really been able to have real in-depth, like in-house conversations, because we've been educating ourselves about different premiums and different insurances that are out there. So we've been having, different insurances come in and speak with us, educate us on things. So now we've kind of finished that up a little bit, and now we're all coming back together to discuss how we feel, our personal feelings, where we think we're going to go, and we'll see how that actual meeting kind of goes. I know that I have mixed feelings about certain things, but I just kind of wanted to be able to bring that to your attention too as you start thinking about it, and I know premiums have been brought up. I just wanted you guys to kind of think about that too when it starts talking about pay. That is a great thing that the district does by handling that premium or that base pay for the insurance. But I don't know where we would be if the district didn't, because I know I wouldn't be able to afford it.
I know. And it's something that, and I well remember an individual who used to sit in this chair who used to speak about and talk about what a terrible day it would be if we ever got ourselves into a situation where the district could no longer pay 100% of our employees' insurance. And I understand that you even moved to a higher level because you do a buy-up plan. But I well remember that former board member talking about that and some of the financial constraints that we've been placed in. Thank goodness we've been able to continue to pay 100% of every employee's insurance premium. However, if they would like to purchase a higher level, then they're entitled to do that. But I really appreciate you coming forward and sharing that information.
Well, thank you guys. And like I said, this is very interesting with the timing. That's why if you saw me back there, I kind of perked up when I started hearing everything. But thank you very much.
Do you know what BOG stands for?
BOG is the Benefits Oversight Group,
Right.
is what we are. So basically, it's made up of district personnel, and then it's made up of both unions. We have
Is it an
voting
acronym?
members.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Benefits Oversight Group.
I don't think
That's
that
what you
was on
said.
Dr. Kelly's.
It wasn't.
It wasn't in her acronym.
I use the
Well,
terminology often, but I never did really
In my-
Yes,
understand.
so it's made up of district personnel,
Right.
and then we have six voting members that we have? Yes, it's 6 voting members that we have. Myself, our chief negotiator, Angelique Cox, Patrick Strong, Rita, Dr. Hale. And so we all kind of get together and we meet with Mr. Frakes' office, with Lisa Sunday and all that kind of stuff. And then we talk to our insurance provider. A lot of times we have United Healthcare, their person is there, and then our contracted out groups too.
And might I add, Ms. Gardner and Mr. Chairman, and certainly Dr. Hale or the superintendent or his staff might wish to speak to this, but I think that the BOG, as you guys are known as, is contractually established.
Yes.
That is required by the contract, and it is a negotiable item that is handled by the superintendent and his staff, along with both unions, because they make the decisions about what those recommendations will be.
We
And those-
definitely have a
And
voice
then
in
after
it,
that,
yes, sir.
those come to us, but it's part of the contract.
Yeah.
It's something that they do, that's part of the negotiations package.
Well, and Dr. White, referring back to what you said earlier about Okaloosa County maybe being one of the only that we
Yes,
pay
ma'am.
for our employees, what a great recruiting point.
Absolutely.
When it's the time difficult to find these teachers that we need, and, so it would be something to
And actually,
consider.
when I was principal at Bruner, I had 5 teachers that drove from Pensacola to Okaloosa to be on my staff because the benefits were so much better here.
we see that as well
Mhm.
from Walton County and from Escambia. Sometimes they'll start off over there, but then they normally come to us.
Are your meetings virtual?
They are. So pre-COVID, we met in person, and then ever since COVID has happened, we have been meeting virtually. I feel like that I have been thrown into the insurance world, and I never thought that I would be taking crash courses in what insurance means.
Yeah.
Dr. Hale has been right there beside me the past 2 years. We were the newbies on the board, on the committee, so we do meet virtually right now. We meet every month. We've met more than what we've ever met before. It's very interesting for us to do that. We did kind of discuss possibly starting to meet in person again. I don't know if I'm ready for that, because the room that we normally have is in Fort Walton at Lowry Place, and so it's a smaller room, and trying to fit all of those people into that room, I'm not sure if I'm completely comfortable with that just yet. I know that Greg Butler is our executive director. He gets to come too. He's not a voting member, but he's a part of the meetings as well, because if you know Greg, you know that Greg knows a lot, and he knows about past practices and things like that. So I know that he probably, I'm sorry, Greg, if I'm speaking for you, I don't know if he would be open to that either. I know that there's some other members that are not necessarily open to it just yet, but we're moving towards that direction. It is starting to become discussed.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Strong, come on up. We'll get everybody on this one.
Yeah, so thank you for recognizing me, Board, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent. Insurance is very complex. And I just wanted to say, Dr. White, you mentioned that some of the other districts don't cover the full cost of single coverage. But remember, when you build a health plan, there's many variances. So one of the things that at a meeting I was just at, they told me that they pay $60 a month or something, but they had a deductible that was $200. We changed stuff like that a long time ago. So when you start talking about cost to the employee, the deductible is part of that cost. Out of pocket is part of that cost. So we do share in the cost of the health care with the district.
And I think it's accurate to say, and Mr. Strong, you might could speak to this, that typically insurance and other such benefits are routinely part of the negotiation package. It's part of the negotiation that we offer to the union, and which the union chooses to accept or reject, and all the way that whole process works. But insurance and other such benefits are really part of the negotiations process. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, all the benefits are.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So are you saying, Dr. White, that when it's presented to the board, it's already been approved by negotiations? That's right. And then
And I know you have
details are
some
in.
questions about BOG in that group, but that's correct. They have negotiated with the superintendent's staff, and they have arrived at a package that they present. And I would just say that certainly we look to the lawyer for some help on this. I think the board has to be cautious whenever we start speaking directly about negotiations and benefit packages that are offered. Is that correct, Mr. McInnes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just add one thing. I want to make sure that we're always looking for win-wins. Wins for the district and wins for the employee. That's the only way to do it.
Thanks, sir. And I'm glad you said that, Mr. Strong, because I believe that over the past at least 5 years I've been on the board, we have searched for win-win solutions, and that's why we're in the position we're in right now. I believe that we have been able to run this district effectively this year under the pressure that we've been under, but it's because it's been a win-win. So I appreciate that. But I also would like to direct some comments to Mr. Chambers regarding FSBIT, and being the representative for FSBIT on the school board, I have seen the value in having FSBIT taking care of things. But I also wanted to make sure that the public knows that Mr. Chambers and his staff, they meet regularly once a month regarding risk management issues, which this hasn't happened before. And I know out of the encouragement of FSBIT and myself, it was something that was important that we did this on a monthly basis. And so I would like to say thank you to Mr. Chambers for, listening to FSBIT and, making this a priority, because I think we're going to see the benefits of it. And we already are seeing the benefits of having a renewed focus on risk management. All businesses today have a huge emphasis on risk management, and I'm so happy to see that we're taking that stand. Whether it comes through training, training's a huge component of risk management, and our goal is to make sure that everybody's working safely and without any accidents or things like that. And again, like some of the things that have been talked about tonight, that helps with in the long run for our employees. So thank you very much for that. So we're done on that topic. So Dr. Kelly, I'll come over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, just remind everybody that April the 4th is Easter, and so happy early Easter to everyone. April the 22nd is Earth Day coming up. I already stated, but I'll say again, we only have 19 school days until spring break and 24 student days left in the school year. So hold on, press on. We're almost to the end, and for students and parents, sometimes that last quarter can be a struggle, but that can be the most impactful too, because you're overcoming some barriers and looking at those test scores and trying to make up for some things that you might not have paid attention to so much in the first 9 weeks. So hang in there and press on and work hard. I did want to say, and I'm glad she stepped back in here because I was going to say it anyway, whether you were in here or not, Sheila, I know at the last workshop I requested that the superintendent's staff look into some statistics relevant to student referrals, particularly to alternative placements. And I just wanted to thank Sheila and Brian Humphrey in advance, because I know that anytime any one of us requests additional information, it's time off task from their regular duties. So I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think that'll be helpful to us going forward. And then I'll just end with a fun fact. Today, in 1959, I don't remember it, but the Beatles released their first album. So how about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, happy Easter, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And Dr. White.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of things, and I guess I'd like to refer back to the public comment that we had earlier in the meeting.
Yes, sir.
And I would just say that I would encourage anyone that has any issue that they feel like is not being resolved at the classroom or even school or district level to please feel free to email your school board members. I know board members that although I don't always see them, I'm sure that you sometimes field individual matters from citizens and parents and so forth. And I'll share that my experience has been is that when I receive those communications, I promptly refer them to the superintendent. Because as we know by law, it's his duty to govern the schools and to run the schools. And I've always had great success with that. And I know the superintendent and his staff have always communicated back with those individuals, particularly because we were the ones included in the email. And I'd just like to reiterate that to members of the public to please let us know if they feel like that whatever the matter might be is not being attended to. Okay? And then secondly, just to again thank the superintendent and his staff, Mr. Horton and Mr. Dean, for the excellent school safety presentation that you folks gave to us on Thursday, March the 18th. And I would suggest that anyone in the public that's interested in some of the kinds of things that you folks have been able to accomplish in school safety, that they go back and take a look at that video. But again, thank you all for doing that. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And I would just like to piggyback on your comment regarding public comment. I know over the last couple of weeks I've received some, and I will echo that when I do forward it to Mr. Chambers or also Mr. Horton, that usually within that day I have a response back, and then that way I know that the parent or whoever is making that request is being taken care of. But I will just say the turnaround for me has usually been within 24 hours. So that's a great turnaround, depending on what time I send it to them too, of course. I do want to say thank you to the staff that does answer our emails. I know all of us have emailed forward those emails off and to be able to get good response back on it.
And may I add Jay McGinnis, transportation? We've had some transportation issues, and what a wonderful job. I mean, sometimes it's just within the hour. He is responding not only back to me, but also back to the parent, and I truly appreciate that. And I know these parents do also, and he's another wonderful one that responds back in a very, very timely fashion.
Well,
so thank you, Jay.
And, talking about Mr. McInnes, Jay McInnes, I did have the opportunity to finally get on a bus this year. I know it's trying to do something normal, and I just asked Mr. McInnes if he can just put me on a bus, and Friday morning at 5:40, I met Mr. Jay Rexroad, bus number 05-5, and I got there a few minutes early and had a nice conversation with him. But I will just tell you, so those people who might wonder what goes on the bus, Mr. Rexroad does train, so they all thought I was a new bus driver. So the kids were just curious which bus I was going to have. But I will just tell you that our bus drivers are doing their part during the COVID deal. Jay, before we even started, sprayed down the bus. Made sure that he had plenty of masks on, because even though kids are supposed to have a mask when they get on the bus, not all kids have them, but we did have a box. The kids were all, they all had assigned seating. They knew where to sit. As a matter of fact, I was sitting in one, and the poor child looked at me and was like, "You're in my seat." And Mr. J had to just say, "Well, you're going to sit over here today." So, but all of our bus drivers are out there. Again, we'll just say thank you to them, because I think during the COVID time they've had the hardest, just trying to keep these kids separated and trying to make sure they're wearing a mask. But I'll just tell you, that group from Davidson, Crestview, and Northwood were just fabulous. They were good kids, and they were very well behaved. So all the bus drivers out there, we thank you for all that you're doing. Mr. McInnes, who runs that department, we appreciate him, and all the supervisors that are overlooking. I know it's tough. A friend of mine over in Escambia County told me they're 90 bus drivers short, 90. And I know we're short, but we're not 90. So thank you again to all the bus drivers out
Those
there.
bus drivers are doing double routes because we are so short. And
Well, we
just
also have-
parents being patient, and these bus drivers are doing an amazing job, just shorthanded.
Well, you talk, Patrick just talked about being a win-win. We actually have teachers out there that are driving buses. They're assigned to that school, and after school is out, they'll hop on a bus and run a route. So it's, we're doing everything we can, and that's the beauty of Okaloosa County. We're doing it together, so.
So you didn't pull your authority and go for one of those new buses to ride?
No.
I've seen them, though.
This one didn't have an air conditioner on it, but it was cold that morning.
There you
so.
go. There you go.
It was, Crestview, it's always 10 degrees colder, so. All right, so we'll move on down to section 16 and public comment, and there is no other public comment tonight. And so we'll go around the board. Rita, Lee, Patrick, Jordan, Sheila, Steve. All right, this meeting's adjourned. Good night.